Barstool Sports. It is a huge week. It is British Open Championship week, and we also will be in Michigan playing golf. So we got a lot of golf going on. I'm very excited for this week for a main reason, which is that usually when we're watching a ton of golf, you're not really playing golf. We're either at like the gambling house for the Masters, and you get that itch, you get that urge. This week we get the British Open at like 4 a.m. till 2 p.m., and then we're going to be playing golf in Michigan, filming. So there's going to be a golf kind of week in the middle of the summer up in Michigan. The British Open is back for the first time in 2 years. Links golf, the whole shebang. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Welcome to British Open week. How are we feeling?
I feel good. I first want to say congratulations to Lucas Glover on winning the John Deere Classic. I unfortunately was not able to watch much of the final round. Actually, I didn't watch any of it because we had a wedding that we had to go to for a coworker of ours. Congratulations to Marina and Rob on their marriage. So I didn't get to see it, but I saw that Lucas Glover, who I think this podcast is just a real big fan of Lucas Glover because of past incidents. We're always rooting for him just because you never know what he's going to go home to. So I just want to say congratulations to him. Took home a big paycheck, and that's just a big tournament to win, and I want to say congratulations.
Just a poster boy for a tournament like that. Like Lucas Glover, a guy who just takes it at home and like just gets bossed around, and we don't know, like everyone controls his life and they scream at him and they just go, "No, Lucas, no," as he eats his pasta. He just sits there and stares across the kitchen table. That guy wins the John Deere Classic for sure. So congratulations to Lucas. Congratulations to his whole team there at the dinner table. And it's just the perfect match for your tournament.
Frankie, did you see what he said too? Lucas was like, I saw Tiger win the Masters, and like he got to prove to his kids that he was a champion, so that stuck with Lucas to be a champion. So he goes out and wins the fifth major. So getting yelled at.
Well, let's stop Lucas when he's wrong. I'm not going to stop him. That sounds right to me.
It's going to be a nice week. Fitting. It's going to be a nice week in the Glover household. There's just
so
no
funny that
doubt
he
about
had to.
that.
He has to prove to his kids that he's a good golfer because so many of the opposite things are being said in that house to those kids probably when he's not there. Your father fucking sucks at this game. It's just like he had to go out there and just prove him
Also,
wrong.
if his kids weren't on site, like the Scottish Open was just pretty much overlapping coverage of the John Deere. So it was honestly barely on until the afternoon. So it was a perfect fitting for old Lucas.
Listen, you guys mock this tournament relentlessly, but he took home a $1.1 million check. Like if you are a PGA Tour player and all the talk is about how it's always a weak field, there's not a lot of top 50 players in it. If you want to go try and make an easy, quote unquote, $1.1 million, you should go to the John Deere Classic. That should be the number one selling point. I get that it doesn't have the strongest field because it's the week before the Open and there's the Scottish Open going on all the time. But you can go play against that field and potentially win $1 million. Like that, it's a pretty good deal.
Look, I'm happy for Lucas. I think it's a great thing. I think we've preserved a little bit of safety for the next several weeks, maybe several months, which is a very good thing. John Deere Classic, I'm from Missouri. We love John Deere. My dad's the biggest John Deere fan in the world.
Don't.
We did.
What you're doing right now, don't.
I'm telling you that overall, I like the John Deere, but facts are facts. The fucking Scottish Open had a bigger field than... How often does the European Tour have a bigger field than the PGA Tour? It doesn't happen particularly often. Those are the facts. You get a guy like Lucas Glover who hasn't been able to win, an arm wrestling contest in his house in over 10 years, and all of a sudden he wins the John Deere Classic. So, I mean, like these guys are saying, it's very fitting for the tournament. It's lovely that he got the win. They were not even showing it on Golf Channel. They were showing the Scottish Open. They had a playoff between Dietrich, Matthew Fitzpatrick, and all of a sudden you're trying to be like, oh, they're not even having it's like commercials. They're doing like a playthrough with two different things going on. They even have volume, and the leaders are teeing off. There's like a shank. The guy that's leading the tournament at the John Deere Classic is shanking balls, and all of a sudden, like the tournament just kind of ended. So it was the John Deere Classic. It occurred. It happened. I'm happy for Lucas Glover. It was a great storyline. If you're going to get a storyline out of it, Min-Woo Lee won in a playoff, defeated our guy Matthew Fitzpatrick, which was a real shame, but he birdied the hole. So there was just some cool golf this weekend, and we're all happy for Lucas Glover, I think. Is that correct?
Yes, very happy.
Absolutely.
Congratulations. Didn't
What
watch
was
the
a bigger
second of it
tournament?
because I was also at the wedding, so didn't
American
see a second
Century Championship or John Deere?
Now we're getting crazy. Now we're getting crazy.
I mean, it got ample TV coverage. I mean, both was about the same.
I'm not going to respond.
I watched a little bit of the senior open was on there too.
Right. I mean, it was just a tough weekend for the John Deere. There was just more going on.
Again, it's $1.1 million. Like the way you guys talk about the John Deere, you would think the guys take home $400,000 and it's just absolutely no reason to go there. But you can take home 7 figures just like most of the other weeks on tour.
But you're like pitching us to play in it. Like we're talking about as fans that just observe it.
Yeah,
it's not
Trent,
particularly
it's the big leagues. I get it. It's still the big leagues. It's like, are you going to go watch the Yankees versus the Red Sox? Or are you going to go watch, like, the Marlins play the fucking Tampa Bay Rays at, like, the Tropicana? Like, it's just, there's 2 different versions of the sport here. There's one that's just completely boring and no one gives a fuck about, and there's another one that everyone likes.
I'm not
John
trying
Deere
to
just
pitch you guys
happens
on the
to be the one
tournament.
that no one cares about.
I'm saying that your guys' tone makes it seem like it's a lesser tournament when it's just not. And if you are pitching the players, and I'm going to repeat it again, if you want an easier way to make $1 million, go to the John Deere.
No, I think that's right. But I think the angle we're coming at it from is like, yes, you get paid, but nobody's watching. No, but like it's just a really hard weekend to have a competing golf tournament. I mean, this weekend, the Barbasol is on, right? But the Open is on. So it's just like, that's a tough one for them. So this one, and also the Senior Open was on. It was just like nobody is watching the John Deere. It was honestly tough to find where you
but my point is like when the Memorial's on, we don't struggle between should we watch the fucking Senior Open or should you just watch the Memorial. Right. It's Jack's place. Well, I mean, it's great. When the John Deere Classic's on, it's like, all right.
I mean, I'm sure we're going to get into it, but at this rate, the John Deere Classic is going to have a stronger field than the Open Championship. Just because, everybody's pulling out.
Why? Is that because ZJ left?
A lot of guys left.
There's been like 16 WDs
I saw
or something.
Bubba.
But yeah.
I saw ZJ. Who else?
Bubba?
Hideki Matsuyama.
Hideki Matsuyama? Like,
I mean, I see everybody Googling, so it's like...
Just like some of the biggest names in the sport.
Ever heard of them?
Never heard of them.
Well, the reigning Masters champion's not playing. That's probably pretty big.
Yep.
Bubba Watson, who's 2-time Masters champion, is not playing. That's a pretty big one.
My guy, Sung JM.
There's like 15 more or something like that of people who aren't playing. Zach Johnson, who obviously won the last Open that there was at St. Andrews, I believe. So, you got to give him credit where credit's due. But it is an outrageous withdrawal list that we've seen thus far. Pretty surprising, I would say, that people are not. Guys rave about how it's the best. They argue that it's the best, especially the European guys, and then people aren't even playing.
Coming off the heels of what Ricky Fowler said about the Open Championship and how many hoops they have to jump through, it's not surprising. I agree with you that it's surprising that we're having a major championship and big names are pulling out, but it's not for no reason. Like, we know they're not just going over there because they're like, oh, I don't want to get on. That's a long flight. It's like there's still COVID stuff going on. ZJ tests positive for it. Bubba, I believe he came into contact with somebody too close to getting on the charter flight. So it's surprising, but it's also kind of not.
Yeah. Fair. I mean, I guess it's not surprising. It's not like guys. It's not like everybody's saying, "Hey, I'm just not going to play in the British Open. I don't care about it." The whole thing has been surprising from pretty much when they announced there's going to be 32,000 fans per day, because you're thinking, all right, that's full bore. That's 3 times what they had at the U.S. Open. You're basically just allowing anyone and everyone. It's COVID's over if you're doing it, except their protocols aren't that way. And I guess you wouldn't really expect though that it would affect as many people as it is, because like we said, like at this point, a list of people that are not coming, and some of them being big names, I don't know. It just it's taken over one of the main storylines, which is usually not a good sign.
No, it's not. It's unfortunate that we're not getting the Open again, like the real Open again, like just because of this. It's just COVID is really affecting this championship, as it has with a lot of things, but like every other major has been able to get, their feet back, on the ground and get people and fans there and players, and they've been able to hand out the trophy to like a really good field at each championship, and it just sucks that this one is not going to be as big of a field and as good of a field just because of all the restrictions and everything that's happening.
Did I see Matt Wolf's not playing too?
Yeah.
He withdrew. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just tough.
It's tough. I will say I don't think I'm taking it as a huge like. There's certainly some notable names that aren't coming. Hideki being the top since he just won the last Masters, but I don't think it's a crazy list. I mean, it's Sung Jae Im, Kevin Na, Matt Wolf, Bubba Watson, Siwoo Kim, ZJ. But it's not like those are. I think that's everybody in the top 100 that I see. Minus ZJ being at 123.
But I think if in a normal year, if that list of names came out and said they're pulling out of the Open Championship, you'd be like, that's crazy.
Right. You'd be stunned. I mean, look, like Wolf is ranked 35 in the world. You've got Im is ranked like 16. He's ranked 27th, and then you got Siwoo Kim is ranked 50th. Obviously, Hideki's ranked very high. Bubba's one of the top players. Like that's become a storyline. I think. I'm not saying it. I don't think there's like an asterisk if somebody wins.
No, it's not.
But it's a little bit of a storyline. It's like, all right, you're missing a good, I would say, handful of players that it wouldn't be surprising if they won the British Open.
Right.
The only reason I compare it to
Totally
the other
agree.
championships is because the other championships have just been able to like unleash just the regular world on us, right? Like we just watched at Kiowa, it's just the world was back. The US Open, the world is back. Like and now you go to this and there's all these storylines still about the restrictions that the players have to go through and all the contact that they're getting into. Like you didn't hear about any of this with any of the other championships. And I get it, like these guys are going across the world, but it is what it is. It sucks, and I hate that it's going to take away from it a little bit. But whoa, by Sunday, it'll be fine. Like we'll just have moved on, and it's as if those guys just missed the cut, and like a champion will be awarded.
Right.
Yeah, and I would say just like on a logical level, looking at like the Euro World Cup or Euro Cup final, like there's 65,000 people in that stadium and thousands trying to get in outside in London, and then you go a little bit south to this tournament, and it's like guys, because they flew over on an airplane, like can't stay in a house with another guy on the PGA Tour, and they gotta withdraw even though they're vaccinated and test negative. It's just the whole thing is very illogical when you look at it that way. It seems a little bit ridiculous, and then when you factor in a hand or 15 or so withdrawals, it just starts to be something that's like, it feels a little bit different. Now, the course and all that, it's going to be a British Open. It's going to be the first time in 2 years. There's more history with this tournament than any other tournament in the world by far. You get the champion golfer of the year, you get the claret jug, you get the whole shebang. So you're right. Like once it comes to Sunday, we're just going to forget about all of what we're talking about right now. And that's probably what we should get to, just like you should get to Owen's Mixers, which you mentioned the PGA Championship earlier. That stuff was all over there, sold out, drank nonstop throughout the entire tournament because it's delicious. It goes in with your favorite liquor of choice, and you enjoy your life more because you have Owen's Mixers. If you're a Lurch guy, you drink a Paloma. You really can be any kind of guy and drink a Paloma if you want. You can drink a Transfusion, which is one of our favorite cocktails for 4 years now. We've been talking about it. You can make a gin and tonic. You can make all kinds of stuff. So get involved with the Owen's Mixer game. They're great. They're on Amazon. Next day shipping, easy. Go to owensmixers.com, find out where they have it locally, so you can just go to the store and pick it up. Easy. Owen's Mixers, making awesome cocktails, very easy. So big thanks to Owen's Mixers for existing. Gentlemen, I'm going to go through very quickly some facts about the British Open because the Barstool Classic got rained out today in St. Louis, and I was bored, and I was just Googling stuff throughout the day. The first British Open was played in 1860. It was played between 8 people. That's, by the way, about the same exact time that the Civil War started. Started in 1860. It was started at Prestwick Golf Club, which held the British Open Championship, if you will, for several years. It was played, like I said, between 8 people. It was 3 different clubs, sent a bunch of folks. We had Alan Robertson was the most famous of all of these pros at the time, and so they got together. I'm like, oh, we should do a tournament. Did the tournament. It was won that year, again, by Alan Robertson, who was the best player. And then it gets very, very dicey when we get to the Open Championship getting into the young Tom Morris era, where they basically played for this awesome belt, and it was like a belt of with medieval pageantry and all kinds of cool stuff that replaced a trophy, and that's what they played for. But the rules they had stated were that if anyone ever wins the damn thing 3 years in a row, that person just gets to keep the belt. So young Tom Morris, from 1868, 1869, and 1870, young Tom Morris won 3 consecutive times. And the next year, there just wasn't a belt. So in 1871, there wasn't a tournament. Because,
No way.
yeah.
Dude, I got to tell you, that's just poor planning. Being throwing out an arbitrary number where it's like, if you win 3 of these in a row, you get to keep the belt. And after the third, Tom Morris must have just been like, this belt is now mine, and I get to keep it. The belt would have been a cool thing if it were still around now.
Oh, it'd be the biggest thing on social media is you were a WWE star when you won the most old prestigious tournament in golf. You got a belt. It says the first rule of the new golf competition was the party winning the belt shall always leave the belt with the treasurer of the club until he produces a guarantee to the satisfaction of the above committee that the belt shall be safely kept and laid on the table at the next meeting to compete for it until it becomes the property of the winner by being won 3 times in succession. And then about 10 years into it, young Tom Morris just won the belt 3 times in a row. 1871, no tournament. So then in September of 1872, an agreement was reached between Prestwick, between the Honorable Company of Edinburgh Golfers and the Royal and Ancient Golf Club, which obviously the R&A now. They decided that each of the 3 clubs would contribute €10 towards the cost of a new trophy, which was to be a silver claret jug, now known officially now as the Golf Champion Trophy, and hosting of the Open would be rotated between the 3 clubs. These decisions were taken too late for the trophy to be presented to the 1872 Open champion, who was once again young Tom Morris. Instead, he was awarded a medal described the Golf Champion Trophy. Although he is the first to be engraved on the claret jug after it was made, medals have been given to and kept by the winner ever since.
No way. Also, when you were speaking and when you were given this little history lesson, which I will say was lovely, I Wikipedia'd old Tom Morris. And in his Wikipedia photo, he is wearing the challenge belt, which is one of the largest preposterous belts of all time. And then it says, if you click into the challenge belt, there was no championship trophy the next year, and then they came out with a claret jug. So well done to old Tom Morris. I mean, that is absolutely fantastic. It's a great photo for your Wikipedia page.
So when they didn't have a belt anymore, they no longer held the tournament as well?
They literally, they were like, dude, this guy just won. He just won. And now we don't have a belt, so the tournament's over.
It's like they went to war. I mean, no, we can't. We're done. He won it all.
I think all right, so you give old Tommy the first belt. That's fine. But you bring in a new belt, and then, think about now. No one's getting that belt, ever, for the most part. That's just a belt that keeps going. Yeah, if you win it, I think
bigger
you keep
than an 8-man field. 8-man field makes it attainable.
Makes it much easier. But if you you still have the belt rule where if you win 3 of them in a row, you get to keep the belt. But how often does that happen? Never. Dude,
I gotta tell you, Trent. Though, if they had the 3-win rule now again, still where somebody the trophy was theirs forever.
Dude,
it would change the whole game. If that tournament just ended, if you could end the U.S. Open forever, if you just won it 3 times in a row, and then they I don't know, the USGA has to figure it out and come up with something new, that would be phenomenal.
They blew it. I like that they do the belt. I like that they give it away, and I like that there has to be a gap year. If a guy wins 3 in a row, then you just have to regroup for a year and you don't have it. Because, imagine if a guy these days, in the next couple of years, had won 2 British Opens in a row, the hype around that tournament being he might be able to keep the belt at the end of this weekend, that would be a story all on its own. Probably the number 1 story going into that week.
Dude, yeah. There'd be nothing like it. Imagine the Masters if that was the rule. And you just, dude, if he wins 3 green jackets in a row, it's just over.
Riggs, he's frozen. But yeah, I mean, essentially why he's frozen and coming back, you could potentially kill the golf tournament. I mean, The U.S. Open would set it up that if you're like a cut player, they would just make it impossible to have a cut and actually have any success. They would golf would destroy you if you had 2 wins. And Riggs, it looks like you're back, so you went just completely frozen mid kind of the climax of your point. So it was actually a perfect time to freeze up.
No, I'm back. I just love this. I think this is very interesting. I get it. Sounds like they were idiots. They didn't know what they were doing, but they actually might have been geniuses. And I think they're just like, yeah, nobody will ever win it 3 times in a row. And then he did, and they didn't know what to do. Another interesting fact, when I was going down the rabbit hole of Wikipedia with young Tom Morris literally died of like a broken heart.
I was just, I was waiting for you guys to do your thing. And I was gonna say, well, you know what else ended abruptly, like the championship, was young Tom Morris's life, and it's a kind of a sad, horrific story, to the point where I just kept reading because like I was like, why is this guy's name Young Tom Morris? I think it's just because he fucking died young and he was like sick when he was a young player. I mean, like it says on Wikipedia his dad's Old Tom Morris. I don't even know if that's true, but it has to be, right?
His dad, Old Tom Morris, like invented St. Andrews. So these guys just dominated forever.
So he was born in. So that it's okay. So as it says, he was born in St. Andrews in Fife, Scotland.
He's like young Tom Morris is like Ken Griffey Jr.
And he died at 24 of a pulmonary. What did it say? He literally died. His lungs legitimately just like bled out, and he died because his wife and baby like passed away when she was giving birth to the child, and he got there and like couldn't handle it, and like years later on Christmas just died.
On Christmas?
On Christmas.
Oh.
He legit died of like a broken heart. I mean, it was pretty terrible. He actually, I was getting deep in this too. Played a match at like North Berwick with his dad, Old Tom Morris, who, by the way, Old Tom Morris won the 1861, 1862, 1864, 1867 British Opens and was like the head pro and like head architect at the old course at St. Andrews. And then his son, young Tom Morris, ended the British Open by just winning it too many times in a row. But then the two of them had like an intense match across like the Sound or whatever it is down in North Berwick, and then he got like a telegram with 2 holes left. It said, I was reading deep on this, that his wife and coming baby were in bad shape. Finished the match, won the match, jumped on like a boat across, but didn't really know. And when he got back, found out that they had both died. And then I think it was like a few months later, but you're right, it was like Christmas Day, he died. And obviously they don't have like all the medical stuff now. But basically, when you read into it, it's like he was so sad that he couldn't go on. So even though this is kind of an interesting little history, it's pretty sad.
It's really sad. Fucking dark.
Jesus. Dying really on Christmas. Nobody should die on Christmas. No. That's like...
No. Agreed.
That's the worst thing. And if anybody has like a negative experience towards like Christmas or something that like ruins that day for them, I feel badly for them. Like they deserve a hug or something like that, because Christmas is one of the all-time holidays.
We could just be Jewish.
You could, but like, if you're not Jewish,
or any other religion that doesn't celebrate Christmas, but you can give them all hugs.
No, I'm just, you get what I mean, though, Frankie. It's like, I mean, because
just wanted to trip you up there a little bit.
Huh?
Just wanted to trip you up there a little bit. That's
no, I mean, but you get my point. I mean, you can find a crappy point with that.
I find a lot of people that don't like Christmas.
Yeah, I guess we're right. So, anyway.
Billions of people.
It's a lot of hugs.
Fucking hate Christmas.
They fucking hate Christmas. You
know? Is it the majority?
Yeah, but it's not because something.
I'd say the majority of people on the world don't like Christmas. Would you say?
But not because something bad happened to them.
No, not because young Tom Morris died of a leaky valve.
Right, that's the point I was making. Yeah, leaky valve is right.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fucking young Tom Morris, man. Also, all these stats are like, this is like when the Rangers won 3 cups before the fucking expansion. Like, they had 6 teams in the league. It's like young Tom Morris winning 4 championships before he's 21. He played against fucking the guy who walked the sheep down the block just because he knew how to fucking swing a golf club. His dad invented the fucking thing. It's like, come on, man.
This is what we always say. We wanna audit Sam Snead's win total.
It's crazy. Like, come on, young Tom Morris being a 4-time Open champion.
I mean, I will say that is the Morris family like the most famous family in golf?
Yeah, I would say
because old Tom Morris trained Donald Ross about course design. So you have this like massive like golfing tree of the Morris family.
I'll be honest, when we started talking about young Tom Morris, it tripped me up. I didn't know that it was this family. Because you hear the name Morris and you hear
same.
When he started saying young Tom Morris, I almost thought it was one and the same. Like, that's why I actually went into the death, because I'm like, oh, this guy must have just became old and like...
Fair. And the whole thing's tricky because, I mean, they do the same thing with the old course. Like, the new course at St. Andrews is like 130 years old. So it's like they do this old new... It's like when did they start calling...
I also know nothing
young
about...
Tom Morris, like, were they calling him to his face, young Tom? Or was he like... Is that something that came 80 years later when they're like, how are we going to distinguish between the two Tom Morrises?
We have to go over there because you guys have both been there, and like I just feel like you are in the mix of like the history when you're there. Right? It's almost like going to fucking like England and like doing all the tours of the castles and stuff. Like you just know more about the history when you're there. I want to go there and see it. Like I want to go to St. Andrews and
I want to go there really bad. Honestly,
it's a different experience. It's unlike anything in the world.
Sick over there. He could just fucking his baby cuts all over the place and never get in trouble off the tee and just be fucking awesome at golf.
Yeah, but those bunkers, man, those bunkers.
Oh,
were there.
Those just keep digging down and just put this fucking sand over him. Just fucking kill him in one of those things.
Frankie, I will say, one of the all-time moves from you was when you chipped in and you gave him the Michael Jordan little dude. You did that as well as any human being could mimic another action. It was incredible.
I also felt bad because like I knew he wasn't gonna get the 100, and I'm celebrating a fucking chip in. It's just like I was like, sorry, dude. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's gotten significant. People now. Speaking of that, people now think that like my yips and the butter knives are gone. Boy, are they wrong. So,
dude, they weren't gone last week when we played. You chipped it pretty good.
Yeah, today was bad, but I think I'm just run down. I got back from a bachelor party, went straight to fucking. Straight to a wedding. I went straight to the golf. It was just, I think today was a bad day all around, but it is what it is.
You get some sleep tonight. You
get some sleep. Yeah, we're going to Michigan. But hey, I like this history lesson, Riggs. That was good.
That was.
You should add that to your little thing. You should add that to your little buffet of bits that we're going to do. You just give us history. Give us history on like either a golf course or a player, someone that died young.
I'll give you history. I love history. You guys know I'm obsessed with history. It's my favorite, probably my favorite subject outside of golf.
Call it Professor Riggs, all right?
And it would actually be pretty funny if you put together a little history lesson that you thought somebody would like. So like round one, you do it for Trent. Then you go to me. Then you go to Frankie. So you find something real dark and just share it with him and rotate it around and try to pick literally history blurbs for each person on the show. I think would be great.
Seems like a lot of work, but yeah, you might be able to, fix that in there. Yeah, we'll see.
On the 18 flights you take a month, you could just do it on the flights.
I'm always looking for shit to do on the flights. I usually do podcasts because you guys know me. I like to sleep. I just sleep on planes. Podcasts are a great way to just like kind of like zone out and pass out.
I just started Joe Rogan talking to. Oh my god.
Oh boy.
Oh my god. Oh, Quentin Tarantino, which I'm really into.
I heard that one's good. I haven't listened to that one.
I listened to part of that, but then it did send me down a rabbit hole of watching Tarantino movies, so I've been doing that a lot.
Which is fun to do.
It's so fun.
Really cool that like he paved like I mean the fact that he was just like I'm gonna make these movies like I want them, and if you don't want to buy them, like you don't have like. I'm just going to make them as gory and as fucked up as possible, and there's no one that's going to tell me no. Like, I'm not taking shit out, and it just worked. It's crazy.
They're very good.
Yeah.
It's been really fun to go back through them.
My favorite line is when he goes, and I'm only like a half an hour in, but they say, Rogan goes, oh, like, what about, like, wasn't there any pushback? Like, didn't they tell you to, like, not do that? And he's like, who the fuck is they? Like I just... made the movie. They didn't stop me from doing anything, which I think you can apply to a lot of things in your life. Like, oh, like, are they going to be mad at that? Like, who? No, I'm just going to do something. I don't know what. That's not going to stop me from legitimately doing something that I want to do that I think is the right way. You know what I mean? I thought that was really cool. Super unique guy.
Definitely. I mean, I would say that's kind of how we approach it. Where it's just like,
right.
No, like, who's they? Like, we're just going to do the golf coverage how we want
Right.
to do the golf coverage.
Oh, won't they be mad that you guys fist bumped Tiger Woods and like tweeted out like you were fanboys at the President's Cup in Australia? Yeah, they would be mad, and it fucking worked.
It's also like you can't. They isn't a real thing. Like whenever you think about a critique, there's a source to it, but it's never the same the next time. So like when you do something the next time that you think is gonna piss they off, it's not the they from the Fore. It's a fucking new they. And they like but what I'm saying is for you to adjust the way that you do things based on that is basing it off of an inconsistent source.
That's a never-ending cycle. They is always gonna be there, and it's always gonna hate stuff, and they're always gonna want you to not do anything. Like, I mean, it's just like the microcosm of they on Twitter is hilarious. Like, no matter what you say on either side, Dave Portnoy is the perfect example. He's like, they will hate me no matter what I do. If I go on this channel or that channel, I do this interview, that interview, they will be mad. There's going to be, it's like being the president. Like, half the country hates you, half the country likes you. They will always be mad no matter what you do. So it's like, you can't adjust your life based off of they. I don't know how we got into this, but I fucking, Tarantino.
I somehow compared our podcast to Quentin Tarantino. So that's how we got here. Yeah, no, I didn't mean to do that, but I did. Macanudo. All right, I'm telling you, Macanudo's kind of changed. It can change your day, man. It could take it from like a pretty cool casual round to an ultimately memorable, super enjoyable next level round. I have added the Macanudo. We got the cool cigar cases, which we whipped up with the green, the Macanudo ones. They're easy to slide in the golf bag now. And when I got like a nice round with the brother or at a really cool destination or a buddy's trip, or Frankie, you're at a bachelor party this past weekend, I'm telling you, the Macanudo cigar, it's the best-selling handmade cigar in the United States of America. They use only the finest hand-selected tobaccos, blended to give you the very best smoking experience time after time. I'm just kind of a cigar on the golf course guy now.
Dude, I went to this bachelor party, my first one. Congratulations to Nick. A lot of fun. We went to Hilton Head, by the way. Maybe we can get a little bit into that. Nick. Yeah, because it was just like, Hilton Head's a pretty cool place. We didn't do much golf, but do much golf. People are going to hate that. But
I love it. Fuck them.
Fuck them. Yeah, fuck they.
Who is they?
Oh my God.
They.
Oh, I thought I said they are gonna. I thought I said they were gonna hate that. I thought I fucking just subconsciously.
It's the same idea though.
Right. People are gonna hate that. Fuck them. I didn't do much golf, and I showed up to the house and I had this. I got a box from Macanudos, and it was the red. The Inspirados that we like, the Macanudos, and I opened this thing up and it's got 20 cigars in there, all perfectly wrapped, and it's got all the information on the inside, right? Like the hints that are going to be coming in and what you're going to taste and your experience. There's like a whole like experience when you open up the box. There's like this like fake wood looking thing in there. It almost looks like it's been presented to you from like the people that legitimately like made the cigar with their hands. Like it is such a cool experience to be able to hand someone a cigar, because I feel like when you're with a big group of guys, to be the cigar guy is just such a good guy to be. And it's like, I have brought you a cool experience. I'm about to make you look really awesome. You're going to smoke this thing. You're going to enjoy it. It's going to be fun for everyone. We're going to have a great conversation around it. And I'm the one that brought that to you. So be that guy. Bring the cigars to the party. Get the Macanudos. Get the case, too, that comes with it. That case, every time I pull that case out, it's on the Barstool store. I think you can sign up to get the next order of them because they sold out in like a blip. But if you have to sign up to let us know if you want the next one. When you pull that case out of your bag, the whole foursome's like going crazy. I mean, they don't know what's happening. And you open it up and you got cigars in there. Are you kidding me? I mean, come on, man. Just do it.
It's so nice.
Very relaxing. Just adds to the drink. It's just very nice.
It adds to everything. It adds to the experience. Enter to win a limited edition branded golf set with a humidor for your Macanudo Inspirato smokes at macanudo.com/barstool. 21 plus only for entry. Go to macanudo.com/barstool. And anytime you're out, you're around, pick up some Macanudos. The white, the orange labels, they're very, very good. And they enhance the experience. Gentlemen, which course do you believe has hosted the most British Opens?
I was going to say the old course.
Yeah, I mean, that
feels like the obvious answer, so that can't be the right answer. You know what I mean?
It's the old course with 29.
Wow, I like the way you did that.
Guess which one's second?
Carnoustie.
No.
Well done. Good delivery on the answer.
You won't get it. I don't think you'll get it.
You don't think we'll get it?
No, Presswick, which doesn't even host him. You nailed it. Good job. It's hosted 24. So 29 for the old course, 24 for Presswick. Third is Muirfield with 16. Fourth is Royal St. George's with 14, which is where we're at this week. Kind of sneaky up there, as you can tell. Like the Rhoda evolves a little bit, but Royal St. George's in Sandwich, England. I don't know a ton about it. It's been since Darren Clark won there in 2011, last time they hosted the British Open there. And then before that, it was like 2003 or something along those lines. So, you kind of get into a few of the courses on obviously the old course. It feels like Carnoustie, a couple other ones, I don't know, that you kind of get to know the holes, especially the old course, you know the holes. This one, it almost feels like I'm going in completely blind.
I've actually followed the Open on Instagram for the past couple of years for some reason, and they post pretty damn consistently to the point where it's like I've just known about this tournament coming up because they're constantly being like, all right, it's next year, it's coming up. And like I've seen so much of the golf course, and they've put up such phenomenal photos, like the best sunset photos of all time. If you go and just take a gander at the Open's Instagram page, you're going to get so jacked up for this championship because they do a great job. They put a lot of content out. They do like the road to the Open. They're doing quotes from all the players about like how cool it is. They have these like sick pictures of players and reigning winners, like with like how many days are left. Like it's just, you kind of get just jacked up for it. They almost do like as good of a job as the Masters in like promoting, like on social media, like promoting like that it's coming up, like guys walking down like an old cobble road and like getting ready to go. It's really fucking cool. They're very, very good.
One of my favorite things is the like the ticker countdown post, like where it said you just showed us 3 days till Open. Like I know that from hockey season or the NFL, they'll put like, they'll do Patrick Kane like 88 days or something like that. You're like, whoa, it's only 88 days until this thing kicks off. Those are some of my favorite kind of like sneaky posts that people put out for whatever reason. But Frankie, I agree with you. That Open account is just a good account. They like post good pictures, good content.
Like this one post 6 hours ago, I think is really unique. Like, would you, like, it's basically something like we would talk about. It says, would you carry the Himalaya bunker on the 4th hole at Royal St. George's? Comment below. And it basically is a flyover of the hole, and it tells you all the information as it flies over. It's like, it's a 270 carry, it's a 292 to the fairway bunker. Like, so like comment below, like, are you going to hit this fairway? Can you go over it? Or are you going to go below it? Like, that's something I would send to my buddies. Like, are you taking this bunker on the right? Like, they do a good fucking job, man. Like, shout out to the Open. I don't know why I'm pumping their tires so hard, but it is what it is.
Some of those Europeans and figuring out social media and how to do content that we just haven't figured out over here on the golf side. It's amazing.
Yeah, the European tour again put out a video that went viral of like guys basically doing Impractical Jokers and like
the fake pundit.
The fake pundit, even like a cool name. Like I feel like if we tried to do that, it'd be the most like embarrassing thing of all time. But it was like funny. I like chuckled the entire time.
They crushed it. I mean, they got like 1 million views on Twitter with that thing, and it's very funny. I'll say that those are hard videos for me to watch. It's such secondhand embarrassment. It's very difficult for me to watch those.
Totally, I can't watch stuff like that sometimes.
If we're giving shout outs right now, I do have to give a shout out to, there's a YouTube group called Good on YouTube. They're a golf brand, right? And these guys are fucking just good at golf. And this fucking kid had a hole-in-one, made a hole-in-one on a par 4 the other day. And you guys had, like, it was all over fucking social media. I just think that's one of the more impressive things I've ever seen. The kid absolutely fucking laced the drive, and I thought their reactions were hilarious. They sprinted to the green like they were in, like, the 40-yard dash. And it's like, I was watching my buddies, and I was just like, that's got to be the craziest thing that's ever happened on a golf course. Like,
dude,
you'll never see anything better.
The other kid called it. He like called it before. He was like,
he's like, clear it, like get over there.
Gotta feel. No, he's like, I gotta feel it here, like something. Or he said something.
Did he say that before the swing?
Yeah, it was insane. And then he fucking drained it. And then the kid hits it, and it's like on such a good line. And the kid, they saw it bounce on the green, and the one kid reacted like, "Oh, what a shot!" And then when it goes in, they literally just fucking lose their minds. Like, that is, I think you're right. The chances of that actually happening, that's infinitely higher than a hole-in-one on a normal par 3 when we watch these guys do the 500 swings challenge on the European Tour, which is great, by the way. Like, that was unbelievable that guy did that.
And I chuckled at the kids that were filming on the green, because I could picture just like the one kid just goes, no fucking way, like, as it's rolling too. And I can just picture like our guys like Jake or Brendan like witnessing, like, imagine like Lurch just steps up and just drains a hole-in-one on a par 4, what they would do. To be honest, we'd probably fucking miss the footage or something. Like Barstool, the Barstool like difference would be like we'd fucking just not have a drone up there or something. But
in Australia, remember I put that to like 3 inches on the par 4. Do you remember that? And
Yes.
And that was just forgotten footage. Like, nobody.
Yes.
We kind of had it.
That's what I was going to say, dude. I think, like, Jake would be up there filming, and he'd just be like, good shot. Good shot. Like, he wouldn't even be like, all right.
No, our fucking guys kill it, but like I laughed at that reaction, because I'm just like, I don't even know what I would say if I watched the ball go to the hole. So yeah, that was a good video. It was everywhere?
Going back to the European Tour and how good they are at social media, which they are very good at it, do we think there's one guy or one girl? Like, is there one brain behind all of these ideas? It sort of feels that way.
I would assume they have like a team, no? Like that they like actually try and crank out content.
They gotta have a head like director of content that crushes it. They have to, because I mean
they have like a Dave Portnoy of golf content. Like like the European Tour has like a mogul like behind their closed doors that we don't know about, that's just crushing golf content.
That's what I mean, because if it's, not to shit on the PGA Tour, but like if you're a golf media or if you're a golf outlet like they are, they kind of do what you expect the PGA Tour to do as a content company. But then you've got something going on with the European Tour where, again, it might not be one person or it might be a team, but it just feels like they've got somebody over there who has said, we are doing it this way, and this is the better way to do it, and they are doing it the correct way.
Do you think they get a free pass to try new things because, number one, they're the European Tour, so when guys go over there, it's almost like, all right, it's not as like prestigious as the PGA Tour and like all these championships over, whatever. And also, they're just Europeans, so like everything they do is just nicer, funnier. Like it just comes off like a Morikawa doing that video the other day. Like I feel like it doesn't come off as easy if you just do it at like Bellerive and like you know what I mean? Like it's like the fact that it's the Scottish Open and all this stuff that's happening, like the fact that they're Euros.
Yeah, like I think it's clear that they get more of a pass and more leeway because they need to make fireworks because they're not as big as the PGA Tour. Whereas the PGA Tour, I think, is a little bit more complacent, which leads to just boring content. And yeah, like I don't know that you could get away with that. It seems a little bit more serious. It seems a little bit more like rigid around the PGA Tour events and like certain guys. Whereas over there, yeah, I don't know. They're bored. But then again, like whenever we've just been in the mix with guys, like you're able to get good stuff if you just put like good, interesting people with them. I think you get good stuff.
Like I think the rigidness and the boringness of it, I think the PGA Tour has set that bar. Like,
oh yeah, no, we're talking about like entities, like organizations, like not like the media. Like there's a million people that can make golf interesting. We do it on a daily basis. I would assume, I would hope. But what I like the fact that the European Tour is like able to take those risks as if they are, and I think we've talked about this. Like they basically act like a podcast. Like they go out there and make like skits and videos, and like they like push the line, and like they're always like on the edge of like almost going too far for like an actual organization, right? Like, I mean, like that skit of them, like whatever was it last year or maybe a couple months ago when they did the anger management.
Yeah,
if like you would never see another organization that like runs tournaments and like actually like hands out the money to these players do that. Like you would never see the MLB do that. Like when the NHL does stuff, they bring like a card trick guy and like the guy like spooks the guys at the fucking All-Star game. And you're just like, oh my god, I did a trick. Like no, these guys are like they were writing sketches. They handed out a script.
Do you think like UK people in general are just like funnier than American people?
Ricky Gervais is just like one of the funniest people in the fucking world. And when you listen to that Brian Baumgartner podcast about how the Office, it's like The Office and Untold, like it's an oral history of The Office. He has Ricky on, and it's just like the way he talks about like just being able to be funny and just start shows, and like how Americans have such a like more difficult time because we are so fucking like different and like we like everyone wants to walk in a straight line. He's like, we just fucking like to live life and just like see it how it is, and usually it's a funny way that we see it, and like we just happen to like just crack jokes and we don't take things so seriously. It is true. It's like a way of life over there to just be a little bit more easygoing.
Yeah. They're just funny. Like when I meet, like an Irish dude or something, I feel like he's just more likely to be funnier than my average American dude that I meet.
I mean, Eamon Lynch can just say like, let's go get coffee tomorrow, and we would all laugh.
I think I convinced him to come on the show, by the way.
Really?
That's impossible. Would you have him drugged?
Yeah, kind of. We were
Like,
drinking a little bit of wine.
I was going to say, did you like tie him up in the back of a fucking car? I thought you'd have to throw him in a trunk to get him on the show.
I think he's loosening up. I think he's he's looking to make a little bit of maybe a podcast appearance. I told him. I was like,
the one stipulation I have for him coming on this show is I need him to be who he is.
Yes. That's what I told him.
Okay? Because he does great hits on Golf Channel and all those things, but that's not the Eamon Lynch that I want on this podcast.
Dude, I said that to him, and he goes, what, fucking curse? Does that make me cool or something?
Yeah, right.
Because the guy that we run into at every tournament that we go to is just a very, very funny person.
He's so funny, dude.
And if we can get that guy in this show, I'm in. I'm so in.
Like The Office, when they were casting like the British version of The Office, would have been doing laps and cartwheels in their writer's room if they would have been able to draw up a character like the Eamon Lynch that we find. Like the guy that just wants to like just see the worst in everything around him and like absolutely just eviscerate people in his presence, but then also be able to like turn it on when his like suit and tie is like tied tight, is a very funny character.
Dude, I got a drink with him when I was in New York, whatever, the last night I was there, like Friday night. We went to our boy Eric's place, Jay Bespoke, amazing spot. If you want to go to a speakeasy in New York, get a good cocktail. But we're sitting there, and he called me like a driveling half-wit at one point. It was the funniest shit I've ever heard. I go, you just call me a half-wit? He's like, yeah. I was like, dude, he's just funny. The shit that he says is very, very funny. So my promise to you guys, by the end of the year, we're going to get that little fucker on this podcast.
Love it.
Yep.
Yeah. But great job by the European Tour. Very, very good job. We're going to be playing golf in Michigan. As we mentioned, you want to be playing golf too. You'll be playing golf in Michigan or in Missouri, New Jersey, Arizona, wherever you're from. The Barstool Golf Time app. We teamed up with Supreme Golf. We whipped up our own Tee Time app. It's the best. It's the best Tee Time app that there is. Aggregate all the other ones. We got reviews. People were pouring in reviews. We've put our reviews on there. So if you see a little Foreplay logo, you know that we reviewed it. We did a video. And you can leave your own. You get rewards. So the more reviews that you leave, the more courses, tee times that you book with the Barstool Golf Time app, you get rewards. You literally rack up points. And then with those points, you're going to get discounted merch. You're going to get tee times. You're going to have the ability to play with Frankie, play with me, Trent, Lurch. All of these things are going to lead to better things in your life just for playing more golf and using an awesome tee time to do it. Reviews are massive, dude. If I'm in a new city and I'm looking at a good restaurant to go to or a bar or pizza, you look up like Google reviews or the One Bite app or whatever. Like reviews are huge. You need reviews. It's the same thing when you're playing golf, even in your own city, even in your own town. You probably play, 3 or 4 courses. You've been playing the same courses your whole life. You don't venture out too far. You're thinking, okay, if we're going to make the 45-minute drive, it better be worth it. How are you going to know that? Look it up on the Barstool Golf Time app. Get reviews from your fellow peers, and you get points for doing it. It's a no-brainer.
No-brainer. Review-based apps are the way to go. You just can't take a flyer and a chance. I mean, we've all done that way too often in golf. You're just like, you heard something about some place, you trust their Google pictures that they took, like probably CGI'd half of it and boosted all the saturation, and they took it on the best day that they've had in 20 years, and then you show up and there's fucking geese shit everywhere and the place is dried out and they don't even have a super anymore. It's like you show up to these places sometimes and it's just a lie. So you have to go with the place or the app that is getting the most action and the most recent reviews, and that's going to be the Barstool Golf Time app. It's as simple as that.
That's the answer. Barstool Golf Time app. Leave reviews, book tee times, rewards program now available. Book rounds, submit course reviews, build rewards, get exclusive Barstool merch discounts. You are welcome. Odds. All right, so big part of the reason we're going to Michigan, it's been on our list for a long time. People say if you go to Michigan, you're never going to go anywhere else. It's pure Michigan. It's under the radar. It's gorgeous up there in the summer. The courses are immaculate. You got great undulation and hills. You got lakes. It's supposed to be awesome. Also, the Barstool Sportsbook app is live in Michigan. There's nothing this crew loves than whipping up that app, getting involved, and placing some bets when you have a major championship going on, like you have the Open Championship. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using the Barstool app, Barstool Sportsbook app. We're going to be literally betting. We're going to be live streaming. Probably Sunday we're going to live stream the rounds of the tournament and just getting after it because guess what? Betting on sports is really, really, really fun. So we've got ourselves a lovely little prop bet merch edition for you, ladies and gentlemen, betting this week with the Barstool Sportsbook. It's very exclusive. It's simple. We got Jon Rahm, Jordan Spieth, and Justin Thomas all to make the cut at the Open Championship. I believe it's minus 110. Is that what it is, gentlemen? Which is a ridiculous number for those three players. And all you got to do is bet $100 or more, and you get, win or lose, an exclusive Ford Play Polo. Win or lose, no matter what.
Win or lose.
Awesome polo.
You're going to get the polo. So it's either you get a polo and you win a bet or you get the polo and you lose a bet. And at that point, like after the polo, it almost feels like a free bet. You know what I mean? Like you're already getting something. So why not just get in on the action, place that wager? You got to be obviously in those states, and we're going to win this thing. We're going to be pulling hard for this. They just have to make the cut. Like these guys are the sickest golfers in the world.
It's boosted from minus 167 to minus 110. So you're getting boosted odds. You got three of the best players in the world. All you got to do is make the cut, and you get a polo. Win or lose, you just get a really cool four-play green polo. It says four-play Barstool Sports. Very cool.
And it's a unique polo. It's something that we don't already sell. Like it's something that you know that you won that bet. Like, or you didn't win the bet. You were just involved in the bet.
You were part of the bet.
You were part of something that we're building, and that's pretty fucking cool, all right? So let's just do it. Let's all be a part of the same team. Let's be a part of the four-play team. It's like a new logo that we've thrown on a polo, and I really like it. So I think everyone's got to get in on this.
It's also crazy to me that that's only minus 167. Like for those three guys to make the cut, I would think that that's minus 500. Maybe that's why.
Yeah. I mean that's just gambling, which is great.
Right.
You know, responsibly. You can do that with Barstool Sportsbook, 1-800-GAMBLER if you have a problem. But Jon Rahm is probably the best player in the world right now. I know DJ just went to number one, but Rahm is like unstoppable right now. Justin Thomas is Justin Thomas. He might be. I mean, I think I picked him maybe over the next 5 years to be the best player. And then Jordan Spieth has, I think, 8 top 10s in like 12 or 14 starts this year. So he's playing phenomenal. He won the British Open. What was that, 2017? So 4 years ago, only 3 British Opens ago that he won. So now these three guys, they just got to make the cut. That's it. Just literally make the cut. JT, if you're worried about his links golf history, JT played great this past weekend. He missed a few putts, couldn't make any putts, and he still was double digits under par, I believe, for the week. So these guys, Rahm had a good chance to win. So it's kind of a no-brainer. Going through the odds, Jon Rahm is I believe, a massive favorite to win the tournament. I think he was like, plus 750 I saw on the Barstool Sportsbook app to win it. And then you get Xander's plus 1,600. And then you get into Brooks and Rory are both plus 1,800, and Spieth and JT are both 2,000, plus 2,000 to win, 20-1. So I don't know who we like out of that field. And then another interesting bet that I saw was the group winner between Rahm, Xander, Brooks, Rory, and Spieth. They're all like pretty good plus money. Rahm's plus 175, Xander's plus 335, Brooks is plus 450, Rory's plus 450, and Spieth is plus 450. So I kind of like picking, for me, I might put Brooks Koepka out of that, because these stats are the best combined score to par in majors since 2016. Brooks Koepka is 84 under par, and the next best are DJ and Xander, who are 21 under par.
Wow.
Isn't that nuts?
That is crazy.
That's mind-blowing. Dude, that's so much better. Did you say 84 to what'd you say? What is Koepka again?
84 under par since 2016, and DJ and Xander are both tied at 21 under.
Jeez.
Doesn't even make sense that they were playing the same tournaments. That seems so far off.
He's been insane in major championships over the last 4 years. Insane.
Lurch, what do you like? You're a guy. You're a Lurchy Loose Picks guy. Who do you like?
Sure am. Dude, this past weekend at John Deere, Stevie Strick, just screwed me. Makes a birdie on the 18th to go T40, and then somebody drops from the T40 spots to T34, whatever it is, to bump our guys up to T41. Another miss on the old lurchy loose picks, but we're out there really grinding. The Koepka statistic is interesting. I actually like Rory this week for whatever reason. It's like not as many people seem to be talking the last time we were here, because last year got canceled, so 2 years ago. Too much talk about him. Obviously blew up on day one. But
they just replayed that first tee shot. I saw that on live from earlier. They did like the whole thing where he was like kind of introduced.
Like watching McGregor's ankle.
Dude, he stood over it and was like, he would regrip the club like Sergio in like 2002, and then looked up and just knifed one out of bounds left. And I almost had to change the channel.
It is.
It's amazing that. And it is and it isn't, because we talk about nerves and pressure on this show a lot just because that's part of golf. But the fact that there was so much buildup with Rory, and then he actually got so nervous that he fucking did that is I honestly can't believe that it happened. It's anybody can do it. Golf is incredibly difficult. But for Rory McIlroy to do that and for it to be so clear the reason why it happened is really still one of the more surprising things ever.
Yeah, I mean...
Really,
it was. I said it was exactly like McGregor's ankle. I thought Frankie was going to barf in that very moment.
My God.
It was like, I don't know if you guys saw that, but I just turned the TV off. I was just like, I was actually getting a late flight home. The fight was on Saturday. So I landed in JFK at like 12:30, and I saw the fight is happening today or some promo, some little notification slid down. So I was like, I'm just going to buy this and watch this on the Uber home from JFK back to New Jersey. And then I found out it was Saturday night. So I just bought the fight and was like, I don't even really care about this, but now I guess I'll watch it. So I watched it on Saturday night. And it was one of the most gruesome things I've ever seen on TV, to the point where I was like, I'm just never going to watch MMA again.
Yeah, it was. I actually didn't get to see the fight live. I just saw it on Twitter. We were in Hilton Head. And that place, and I just want to get into this because I got a lot of messages about, like, is that a good spot for a bachelor party? Like, a lot of people were going down there. And to be honest, like, you have to be really prepared to go down there. This was like our first one that we went on as like a core group of friends. Like my one buddy getting married, like no one else, everyone else is like following along. He's set the path. So this group of kids, we didn't really know how to do it, and we put all our trust in one dude. Actually, Rob, who his teeth fall out of his fucking. Rob was in charge of.
No smile, Rob.
Yeah, and you know what? He's he's really good at this stuff because he does like Excel stuff at work while he just doesn't smile. So he was able to like set up a lot of stuff. It's hard to get a group of 12 guys to all agree on stuff and go places and plan. It's impossible. But Hilton Head was a little bit tough to like really keep the vibes going. Like you're constantly waiting on Ubers. You're constantly trying to get into places like restaurants, and it's like older people and the golf is really good, but like it's all the same kind of courses. Like every course we passed was like the same thing. And there's some really phenomenal courses, like Harbortown, obviously, like Atlantic was down there. It's really good. And our house, like, it's just like if you're going to go down there, you have to just make sure you're prepared. Like go to the grocery store, because like you got to go into these communities, and getting into the community to show your pass to get into the community. Like we were in Sea Pines, took an hour to get in because there's just one road to get in. So if you left the community to go get like beer and liquor, you're just gone for an hour. And like you're on a bachelor party, you want to get going, and you're like, where are these people? And they're like, we just can't get back in.
Dude, when I went to Hilton Head, I went with just my family of 5, and we went like fishing one day, and it was perfect for that. But I could see for a bachelor party, like you said, it is a little bit more family oriented, and like the place probably slows down around 8 or 9 p.m.
There's one place called the Bermuda Triangle, which I thought was a cool name, and like all these 3 bars just meet in the middle, and you just like mingle. Oh, you're at that bar? I'll go in that one. You know what I mean? Like it's just the catch is that they all are the same bar, even though they have different names. Like that's the catch. You can go into all of them.
Classic Bermuda
but it's fun.
Triangle.
My point was like they didn't show the fight, and like it wasn't like so like we were sitting there like, how are you not showing the fight at the Bermuda Triangle? Can we see this thing? And then all of a sudden you look on Twitter and the guy's leg snapped in half. So it's like, all right, I guess it was worth not staying back at the house. But I'd recommend like if you're gonna do it, just get like a driver, get like a party bus, go to like Savannah, like do different shit. Don't just stay on the island because there's not much to do except for golf and like stay at the house. So
I will say that I'm surprised your guys' first one wasn't Vegas, because a lot of people just go automatic, no thought, first bachelor party, Vegas.
This was like a canceled wedding that got rescheduled, so like it was a COVID thing. So when we originally planned it, it was New Orleans. That was going to be our first one. And then New Orleans got shut down. Like rats were running in the street. COVID was a fucking nightmare down there. So we were like, no, thank you. We didn't know if it was ever going to come back at that point. Like now it's back. So when we had to book another thing pretty well in advance, and the guy whose bachelor it was is not a Vegas guy. Like I feel like you have to be a Vegas guy. He wanted to play his one round of golf, and he wanted to go to the beach and play beach volleyball and stuff. And so all that stuff was fun and great. But I'm like, I would love to go to like Scottsdale or Vegas. Like I want to see some dark shit. Like I want to get into some fucking, I want to walk into some rooms where like I don't know if I'm coming out. Like you know what I mean? Like
Frankie wants to come back missing a limb.
If you find that in Hilton Head, you really are never coming out, because it's you're just gonna get murdered.
I will say, not a raving review for something you wanted to get to. You wanted to talk about Hilton Head. Why? Just to be prepared?
I just
I bet a lot of people are reaching out.
Many messages about like guys are going there. Like, what do you recommend? And instead of answering all of them, I wanted to say like I would book like Ubers well in advance, or like a driver if you guys are trying to go out. Like it's one of those places where like you're on the island, man. And I'm sure there's a lot of places like that, like Nantucket and all these places. Like once you're there, it's like kind of hard to get from place to place.
You know what was a sneaky good bachelor party destination that I did one time was Chicago, actually. We went we rented like an awesome Airbnb and then went to like the Playpen or whatever they call it on Lake Michigan. That's like right on Ocean Drive there in front of downtown Chicago. And it was a sneaky great scene for a bachelor party. But again, you'd almost have to have it where like nobody's from Chicago, so it's a destination.
Right.
Otherwise, I feel like, especially like you're younger than we are, so like Hilton Head seems almost more for a bachelor party for like our age type people now that like are more chill. But you just like, I felt like we just played the hits over and over. It was like Austin, Scottsdale, Nashville, Vegas, run it again.
I will say, have you ever been to Key West? Riggs, you were at Vegas, right?
We did Key West one time.
That place is Vegas of the East. That place is
really
no rules. Shocked me. I did not know that was the case. Dude, that place is Looney Tunes crazy. Yes, dude.
We were in for a whirlwind of a trip. I remember that weekend. It happened fast.
Dude, every bar you would go into, Frankie, was literally, I don't know if I'm coming out alive. Like, either I'm dying or, like, the guy I'm looking at right now is dying. Like, that place is no rules whatsoever. And there's water everywhere. So, like, you could just, like, go off and drown. Like, that was mind-blowing. Because I think of Key West as, like, retirement, hanging out, like, going fishing, asleep by 6, up at 4 a.m., fishing again. Yeah. And this place is
Key West,
Vegas
too. Key West, too, you rolled in like at, 10:15, hung over to get like a coffee and a breakfast sandwich, and the locals are already like ripping shots at the bar. Just like that's what they do on a day-to-day basis, and it smells like that. And it was no holds barred, that place. The pool at our hotel was a circus. I mean, you can't describe the things that were happening. What was that, like 2 years ago, Lurch, we went there? 2019,
something like
maybe?
That. I met a buddy in Miami. We rented a Ford Mustang convertible, and we're like, dude, everybody talks about this drive from Miami to Key West. So we did it. It was like 3 hours or something like that. Not the dream drive I was looking for. Really not that spectacular. So if anybody does it, just fly in there.
Don't you just go down that bridge the whole time?
Really? Yeah, it's like you just pretty much. And you just go from like up 20 feet, like on a bridge to an island. Then you're on that for a mile, and then you're up 20 feet to a bridge, and then it's really not the most incredible drive, but Key West was a mind blow for me. I did not know what we were getting into.
This one thing that threw me off, and really my whole crew off, because I relayed this information to them prior to us getting on the flight to Hilton Head, was that I got this message from this guy, Mitch Geyer or something, Geyer. And the first message was just someone in a hospital bed with their legs looking like they're about to be amputated, right? And then it took a little bit of time for him to send any information after that. And I'm invested in this thing. So he goes, "What's up, Frankie? Was just listening to the pod and heard you guys are staying at Sea Pines. Watch out for the copperheads. We went on our yearly golf trip with my 7 old high school friends, and we stayed at a house exactly where you're staying. My buddy got out of his car in the driveway and just got bit by a copperhead poisonous snake. He's like, they're freaking everywhere. He didn't even play a single round of golf. He stayed in the hospital for 3 days. Didn't even have our bags unpacked yet. It's a nightmare. Anyway, have fun. Hit up the Bermuda Triangle. See you later. I was just like, all right, Mitch. So now we show up to fucking Sea Pines, and I'm like, guys, you got to watch out for these fucking copperheads. We're looking at the pictures of these things, and they just look like leaves. Have you seen what a copperhead snake looks like? It's a
they blend right in, right?
They just look like leaves. And we get to our house, there's leaves fucking everywhere because of Hurricane Elsa just ripped through it. All these trees are down and shit. So it was like walking over like landmines in a fucking like a war just ended. We were legitimately tiptoeing.
You're like
out
Indiana Jones.
We got into this Uber finally. Like, it took us fucking 4.5 hours to get an Uber. We had this guy, his name was Courtney, a 90-year-old guy driving fucking Uber. He had all these stories about all these places. He was handing out things to all the clubs. And he goes, oh yeah, he's like, oh, you'll see some out here. I'm like, Courtney, are you like fucking serious? Like, he's like, they'll just fucking come out and get you. Like, it was just like, what are we doing out here? He's like, oh, and the storm came through and that whips them up. That takes them out of their homes.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden they're just on like they're in your shower. And you're like, what's happening? They're just fucking coming out of the toilet seats because Hurricane Elsa came through. So, yeah, not the most glowing review for Hilton Head now that I talk about it. But listen, it's a fucking place to go golf.
It's no fun. You can't get anywhere. Snakes coming out of the shower heads. Like golf
Dolphin
courses
Head
are all
Golf
the
Club
same.
was a good spot. Dolphin Head Golf Club was a good spot.
It looked awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
Did you guys see the snake video of that snake wiggling into a sand trap?
Yeah, it's over. I don't want to talk about that.
No, I don't want to see it.
Bro, it burrows himself into the sand. You just can't see the sand. You can't see the snake anymore, and you can just step over it.
Then I tweeted about it because it was the most horrifying thing I've ever seen, and everyone's like, "Yeah, watch out for sand pretzels." That's what they called them. They're like, when you're in a bunker, watch out for a sand pretzel. I was like, "Now, what do you?" There's footprints and shit. Like, what are you talking about? A sand pretzel? Like, they can't hide into the sand. That's illegal. Dude, this thing, he doesn't even move. He's like curled up there a little bit, and then he just goes.
Yeah, dude.
And then he's just in the sand. Like, he's submerged in the sand.
He uses his scales, and it actually, like, lifts the sand over him, and he's able to go under. It's like someone underneath that tweet like responded like, yeah, this is how they do it. They like their little scales and their fucking ridiculous skin is able to bury themselves so that when you step over them, they just grab you.
What's that movie when they give sharks the giant brains and they become super smart and they like take over the world?
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's like Deep Blue Sea or something. I feel like that's happened with snakes. Like, they're in water coolers now. They're in leaves.
Right.
They're just hiding in sand bunkers waiting for people. Like, why are they attacking people all the time all of a sudden?
I fucking hate snakes. I also hate spiders. I saw a spider walk across my bathroom and I almost fucking lit the place on fire down in Hilton Head.
Hilton Head sounds great, man.
Yeah, a glowing review.
Holy fuck.
Wow.
Ooh, today's athletes deserve more than just your grandfather's tired, old, salty sports drink, which is full of artificial dyes. That's true. Enter Body Armor, made with potassium-packed electrolytes, antioxidants, and B vitamins, plus no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or dyes. Body Armor Sports Drink provides hard-working hydration and much more, plus it tastes fantastic. Fantastic. My favorite flavor, probably... I'm a big blueberry guy, but I've been big on the watermelon strawberry lately, but they got a bunch of good flavors. They got orange mango, tropical punch, gold berry, blue raspberry. It's very rare to get a sports drink that is also good for you and tastes good. A lot of the ones that typically you've liked or thought taste good, turns out they're just terrible for you. They got a bunch of artificial stuff inside of them.
Dude, if you ever look at the label of a very popular sports drink that's not Body Armor, if you look at the label on those things, you will be stunned how much sugar is in those. I am a guy who may or may not have a problem with sugar, so I'll look at things that like, how much sugar is actually in this? Is this feeding into my addiction? Turn that thing around, read it, and then put it right back into the cooler and grab Body Armor because there's just way too much sugar.
Trent, tell me how much sugar's in Sour Patch Kids. Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's a lot.
He glances over it. He acknowledges it when he was eating it, but he doesn't retain the information. Or the sugar is killed off the brain cells that you can't remember it.
No, you just don't look at the negative.
That's
just
right.
all part of the negative of Sour Patch. The good is inside, so you just rip off the cover and burn the cover.
Right,
and
because
then shove those things down your mouth.
with like a sports drink, you're not thinking about it. You're thinking like, oh, it's a sports drink. People drink this to refuel and do athletics. So when you turn it around and see how much sugar is in this other brand that's not Body Armor, you're stunned. But Lurch is right about the candy. If you buy candy and you look at the sugar contents, what the hell is wrong with you? Just eat it and get rid of it.
It's the only way to go about candy. Also, because candy's been told to you that it's bad for you. Where like sports drink, it's been told to you it's good. So you like look at it, you brag about what's on the cover, like, oh nice, I'm replenishing all these things I lost. It's like, no, you look at that Tootsie Roll, man, and that thing isn't gonna blink before it's dead.
Right. There's no guys with candy. At no point are you like, this is gonna make me a healthier human being.
No.
You just know it's a negative right away. But you don't think that with sports drinks, you're right.
No.
Enter Body Armor. That's why Body Armor is the best. It's good for you. It's got a lot of really good stuff inside of it, and it tastes delicious. So get yourself some Body Armor. They got a lot of good flavors. Okay. Links Golf. I'm excited. Overall, I'm extremely excited. We haven't seen the Open Championship in 2 years. We got morning golf. I think coverage is at like 4 a.m. until, 2 or 3 p.m. a lot of days, which is, a little bit of a twist. And then in the summer months out here in the United States of America, you can get in a round of golf after the golf finishes up, after the British Open finishes up. Like I said, we're going to be in Michigan. We're going to be gambling on it. We're going to be playing a bunch of golf, which is going to be cool. So people can, brace themselves for that. People wondering what we're going to be playing. We're going to be playing Forest Dunes, which is supposed to be phenomenal. I got our guy Scott. Remember Scott, who was the head greenskeeper at Cascada in Vegas?
Oh, yeah.
The guy that came out and was like evilly laughing at us as we
turned the greens up
to
a 14. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's doing a Michigan golf trip right now with his buddies. Played Forest Dunes today and texted me and was like, you guys, Forest Dunes is going to steal the entire trip. He said it's like abandoned trails out of abandoned dunes, that it's just phenomenal. And we're going to be playing 3 courses there. And then, to the dismay of many people, we're not going to be playing Arcadia, which is probably, I think I've talked about, probably the number 1 course that I get recommended to play all the time. People tweet it at me, pictures. It's on the lake. It's beautiful. But I believe their ownership, it sounds like, just doesn't really care about press. They care a lot more about the experience, the guest experience. They don't want drones flying. They want people to just enjoy it. They don't want to have a whole camera crew out there. And if they do, they want it to be like a full production, and they wanted us to do it like next year when we can stay in the hotel, and we booked everything too late. So bottom line was, if we were going to come in Saturday, play around, that was going to be kind of squeezed into the tee sheet, we weren't going to be able to film, which I actually kind of respect, that they are just like, no, we're not going to ruin our other guests' experience. So if you guys want to come back and film, go for it, but we're not going to let you come in and film. So long story short, we're not going to Arcadia Bluffs. I got a couple other good options on the list. Sounds like there's just a ton of awesome public golf. So I think we're going to do the resort thing at Forest Dunes for a few days, which is supposed to be off the charts. And then we're going to hit like a local hidden gem to give a little bit different flair. Instead of like the several $100, $150, whatever Forest Dunes cost per round course, we're going to hit you with another one too that's a little bit more kind of for the common man, locals, and showcase a little bit of Traverse City area golf in that regard too. So I'm quite excited. We got to figure out the format and all of that. This will be what we've done. Pinehurst, we did Australia, we did Vegas, and this will be our 4th one, I believe.
That's right.
Could be interesting. I think there's going to be some magic. I mean, we're just going to be in Michigan playing fucking golf. Never played golf in Michigan.
It's going to be exciting. And Trent's playing like a lot better golf, and I think vibes are really high. And the fact that I think we're growing as a podcast and growing as golfers, and the fact that we have like just another trip coming up where we're going to do some sort of competition is exciting. We had somewhat of a good competition in Vegas. We had some good matches. I mean, it wasn't the result that Lurch and I wanted, but it is what it's just fun to get back on the course and have people critique our games and make fun of our handicaps. It's just really fun to be able to do that during the week.
Super excited on the back
during the week. He says during the week.
Yeah. I like now that I play a little bit better. I'm playing a little bit better golf. Like these stretches, because in New York City, like, you just go out for a full day and then like maybe you have to wait a week. Now being able to play golf 3 or 4 times in a short span, I'm excited just to like get that consistency going. And like you guys have all said, Michigan, that's maybe the number one place we get recommended, so it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I think
I actually just made a swing change, which I'm very excited about.
Oh,
on my driver, I bring my feet much closer together. I used to have that crazy wide base. I think that makes me cut the ball more. So, I mean, again, I've had one golf lesson in my life, but I think a wide base gives you a better chance to cut the ball because you can't really bring the golf club around you. So now I've tightened up my leg so I can more easily rotate the club around me to get more kind of like a draw on the golf ball. So again, teaching myself how to hit it, but it's made sense to me, so it's actually working. So I know, Riggs, we played together last week, drove it terribly, did this little swing change, shot 77 the other day.
Wow. Are you sure you're trying to draw the golf ball off the tee?
My miss, it's weird. Irons, I kind of have that like, high sweeping hook. That's my miss. But on my driver, it's kind of that like high, lazy slice right. And so I'm not trying to draw it. I just want to get that miss out of the game, that ugly right ball out of there. And so I haven't seen, again, it's just like you correct it until now it just goes, the ball goes the other way, then you try to straighten it out and try to hit a cut. But currently right now I'm hitting more like I would say fades than that kind of ugly slice.
I think going in, this will be the collective best golf that we've ever played on camera.
Oof,
wow.
I sure hope so because I filmed a little something today and it was some bad.
Everyone just sat back and they're like,
I've got some bad vibes for my game going into this. So I hope to get those out of my head on the flight over there tomorrow. Hopefully I can find something on the flight. Maybe I read something. Maybe someone DMs me. I got the hooks right now off the tee, which my game is the tee shot. If I lose that, then I don't have really anything from tee to green. So I need something in my bag, and I've got the hooks. I'm ending up on my heels. I'm slow. I don't know if it's because I'm sore. I've been nonstop since Wednesday. We did Liberty on Wednesday, by the way. What a fucking day. Thank you, Riggs, for having us out there. I mean, just the best day of all time.
We did awesome. We had a absolutely legendary day. But Frankie, you and I, we were an unstoppable force.
I actually played well that day. Like there was a couple holes here and there. But
you're the guy though, like you have one good swing on the range, and all of a sudden you're gonna go to Frankie, and Frankie's be like, I got really good vibes going into this trip. So I feel like we can turn you around quickly.
I can be turned around quick, and I can also be turned around quick the other way. Like I played well at Liberty, and then I went to this bachelor party, and we woke up at 8 a.m. for a tea time after having the first night out the Thursday night, and it was like, boy, do I not want to golf right now. And then had a couple of really bad swings on the driving range because I was so sore. And I just played so poorly and then took that into today. And so I need something to just revitalize me. Is that the word I want to look for? Just,
Yeah, you're out of gas a little bit, too. I think you need, like, tonight you're going to get a good night's sleep. Tomorrow we'll travel, and then you get a good night's sleep tomorrow night. And you're going to be fine on Wednesday.
All right, boys. Let's go. Let's play some golf, huh? Let's go to Michigan. I'm excited. Hail State. I've been to Michigan a couple times. I've gone to Michigan football games and stuff, so I'm looking forward to it. I like that state.
Me too. I love Michigan. Pure Michigan. Great line from Kevin Kisner, who just tweeted this morning. I just woke up. My man Dwayne Bach up at 9:40 a.m. with a FaceTime call. The Open is off to a hot start. That's what Kiz tweeted.
Really good tweet.
That's just our squad, man. Those are our guys. That's the Till gang.
Wearing his 1776 hat. It was just one of the hottest starts from Kiz of all time.
Well, that hat's from 2 years ago, but it is a great hat.
Oh, it is? Okay. Yeah. I thought that was today. Totally missed that then.
That was just a throwback. I think a bunch of people were tweeting that as like, he showed up. But Kiz did 3 years ago, which is only 2 Opens ago. He was T2 at Carnoustie.
Yeah.
Carnoustie. He could have won that when Molinari ended up taking down Tiger, but he was right there. I think he doubled one of the holes in the front 9, but then he kind of rallied and had it going and finished T2. So he can play some Open Championship golf. If it gets windy, I think that helps Kiz. So, yeah, I think he on the Barstool Sports book was like 80 80-1 I saw or something. So I'm probably going to sprinkle a little bit of coin on Kevin Kisner to win. All right. Biggest news outside of things being, pertaining to the British Open is clearly, I think, Bryson DeChambeau and his caddy situation. I don't think there's really any other way to say it, but very weird little handling of the whole thing where they did like a golf.com exclusive where Bryson weighed in and then his caddy Tim Tucker weighed in. And to be honest, Bryson DeChambeau DM'd me, which I think everybody at Barstool handles the DMs differently in terms of like whether you talk about them or not, or you think that's like kind of sacred ground. Like Dave, I think he'll just read anybody's DMs that he goes back and forth with.
He says he doesn't believe in DMs, which I think is hilarious. It's like the funniest wording because DMs are a thing, but he says, I don't believe in DMs. Like, he doesn't believe in the fact that you can take it offline. He's never an offline guy. Like, can we talk offline? Right. He says no. And he lets you know that.
Who's the owner of the Mets?
Oh, Wilpon.
No, the new guy.
Oh, God. Cohen.
Yeah, and they were going back and forth on Twitter, and Cohen said recently, like, let's take it offline, and Dave was like, I don't do that.
I don't do offline. Yeah. Like, offline, Dave says, like, offline is where the shady shit happens, and he likes to do everything online. He's made his living online, and that's what we do also. We make a living online. Like, we don't want to do it offline.
Yeah, he is right, but I would say, though, I think everybody has a different line.
Definitely.
There's certain things you don't want to, whatever. So I'm not going to, like, read the whole thing, but the gist of it was just, like, not happy with our coverage, and he said he was very much of the belief that, like, we didn't have the whole story, which this is before the golf.com thing came out. And then the whole golf.com thing came out, and it's just exactly what everybody said, which is, I mean, the quotes from Tim are like, yeah, like Bryson's, like I was really tired. I wasn't like particularly happy. I've got this other business thing. I wish the timing would have been different. That's like my one regret because we've been grooming another guy to take over eventually, but like the timing wasn't the right time. I think Bryson wasn't fully focused on golf that week because of the timing. And I'm going through all this stuff and being like, look, man, like I understand that you don't want people spreading rumors that like some horrific war went down between the two of them, but nobody was saying that. I think everyone was literally saying exactly what happened is probably what happened, which is just like he did his time. He won a bunch of tournaments with Bryson. He was on those late night range sessions. He was reading numbers with fucking protractors, and he's doing the whole thing on the green for 4 or 5 years. They won a bunch of tournaments, and eventually he was just like, nope. I'm done. This is not like my happiness. This is not for me. I like you. You're great. Congratulations. And that was pretty much what they just announced. And they did it in a fucking weird way where Bryson and his new guy jumped into a pool together and so it's just like, it was just so Bryson that it wasn't like the story came out where Bryson like fired him. It was exactly what we said happened.
I agree. Nothing came out that would be like, oh fuck, we fucked up. Like, damn, guys, like we shouldn't have jumped the gun. Like, it's just the guy kept saying I was like exhausted. Like, and I think you can take that multiple ways. Like, exhausting relationship, exhausting like process, exhausting job in general. Like being with that guy. So, and we've said that time and time again. Imagine how exhausting it is. I think we used the exact word. Like, dude, this guy's got to be just done. Like, that process sucks to try and win tournaments with that guy. So. Yeah, I don't think we fucking.
This was his little quote. He goes, "We were really tired." The season.
Like, come on.
He goes, the tour schedule was grinding on us, grinding on me. I knew I was working on this business on the side. We've had a very intense relationship where he works a lot of hours. It was a little bit of me not being 100% healthy and happy. We made the best decision for both of us. I mean, that is just precisely what everyone thought. And to be honest with you, none of that is like an indictment on Bryson or anything. It's just your whole world in life is golf. You're a golf machine. You're swinging like an animal in Como's living room, and then you're hitting balls well into the night at every tournament in the world. And your guy who's there with you for every minute of it just doesn't get a break, and you finally... Like, he just can't keep up with you, and he's had enough, and he left in the middle of a fucking tournament. That's what happened, and everybody, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Totally fine.
And totally fine. But I will say the only slight on Bryson is nobody looks at a relationship and says it was exhausting, I'm tired, and thinks of it as a positive. Like when you think of like you're just like, dude, I'm done. Whatever. Like I'm done. Like I think that would be the only slight is like at that point, if you're saying I'm tired, I'm exhausted, it's just no more. Like I don't want to pick up the phone. I don't want to talk to this person.
Yeah, I would agree with that. No one's like, wow, he loved spending so much time with Bryson, but like this other business on the side just was too much, and he had to go. It's clearly it was just like he had enough, and I just don't think it's. I guess I'm comparing it to like the level of upsetness that Bryson seemed to be sharing in the direct messages.
In the DMs. You
me,
believe him? Yes.
That was like, oh man, we must be way off on this, and we just weren't. Like it was just pretty spot on to what everybody thought. And then the other thing is like, dude, you don't do some big exclusive and get everybody's side unless like you're trying to protect something, right? Like,
right. That's the weirdest part to me, that they like set this up. Like, let's just be human being, real people on the internet, and just be like, yo, I got like gonna miss my boy on the bag. Like that sucks. Like, love you, man. It's like they had to set up like a fucking Oprah Winfrey style like release where like everyone was like, what is this about?
I am endlessly amazed by what Bryson DeChambeau thinks is funny. That's always the main takeaway when these things happen. Whatever, because the way I think about it, if you believe in like, what is it, the multiverse, where like there's infinite amount of things happening all the time, every scenario gets played out. In one of those multiverses,
you've been watching a lot of Loki, man.
I have been watching a lot of Loki. It's a very good show. But in one of those, Bryson DeChambeau is the funniest guy in the world. It's just not this one, because his tone is always way, way off. And the idea that like he's a great golfer, he's obviously got a brilliant mind for that. It's just it doesn't connect in a comedic way. He has no idea what he's doing. And in a weird way, makes it the funniest shit in the world.
Hold on. I think I saw maybe some of you guys rag on his Rocky episode going into the helicopter before the match. I thought that was maybe the funniest bit of content he's ever put out. That made me laugh out loud.
But did it make you laugh for the reason he wanted you to laugh at it?
Yeah, that might be true, but I will say it was funny.
Because he does make me laugh. But it's unfortunately, and he might be in your DMs about this, Riggs, but I'm laughing at him, not with him.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, like, what are we gonna? I'm not protecting some like relationship. Like,
no,
I think
I know.
we've been very fair. I think we've been super fair. Like whatever. But it's. I mean, one of his quotes was Bryson. He said, "But that's life." Like, no one ever says, "But that's life" about something that was positive. I don't like. You don't say, man, the St. Louis Blues won the cup, but that's life. Like, no, you would say like, damn, the Islanders like came up short. Like, that's life. Like, we'll get them next year. Like, it's always a fucking, you're trying to get over something that clearly didn't go down perfectly or the way you wanted. Like, I hit the pen and went in the bunker. That's life. Like, that's golf. You get up and keep going. It's like that. So clearly there is something of a negative variety that you are justifying with this whole Oprah Winfrey type thing. And it's weird, man. Like, the whole it was weird. I think Frankie's spot on. You put up one quick picture, be like, thanks, bro, for all the hard work. We had an unreal 4 years. Good luck up at Bandon Dunes with your business venture. You're the man. You ever need anything, I'm there. And that's it. It's over. But like, to go the extra mile and then call up golf.com and be like, you get this exclusive, like, DM Riggs, like, clearly he's upset about something.
Yeah, he's mad.
Yeah.
Well put, honestly. Very well put, Frankie. Like, you just mad.
The whole thing was weird. All right. Whoop. Whoop is the world's most powerful fitness wearable that provides 24/7 personalized sleep, training, data, information about your body. I do have to tell you, gentlemen, that I've had an interesting several days here where I woke up today 95% recovery.
Wow.
You've been on a hot streak.
But to that point, Lurch, if we were to go back, I had last week. If you look in that little red bar there, I woke up at 1% recovery one day.
Oh my god, that's a tough day.
I've been living in like the 20s to 15 to 20% range of recovery since Wednesday, and it's been a tough battle for me and my body because my body can't really handle much. Like, there's not much there, and the fact that like that's happening to me is tough. So I am very excited to get back in the green tonight and tomorrow. That's something that when I see those colors when I wake up, it's gonna feel really good. Maybe help my golf game.
You're going to get back, and it's going to feel really good. And Whoop is going to help you, Frankie. Whoop is offering 15% off right now with code FOREPLAY at checkout. So any of our listeners want to get back like Frankie, get that data, understand where you're at, how to perform better, and just kind of know how your sleep's working, if you're sleeping as much as you think, less than you think, more than you think, if you're getting the quality sleep that you think, if you have a demon like basically ripping your heart out of your chest like Trent had for a few years back. You want to know all those things so that you can optimize your body performance, be healthier, be a better person. You go to whoop.com, that's WHOOP.com, enter the code FOREPLAY, FOREPLAY, one word, at checkout. You will save 15%. That is whoop.com, code FOREPLAY, you save 15%. Trent, we got to talk about the bunker incident. Kind of took over the internet on Thursday night. Your latest attempt to play a round of golf in less than 100 strokes, and you're hitting it well. You weren't quite dialed in with the short game, and then I think it was maybe the fifth hole out there that kind of took over the internet there.
Yeah, the fifth hole at Rockville Links.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just boy, did it get the best of me. And I've had bunker problems for a long time. That was one of the things that I talked to JT about. But when it rains, it pours with bunkers for me. Like, if I can't get out on the first try, and especially the second try, then I'm in there for a year. And it's just really unfortunate. I thought the memes and everything that came out of it were very, very funny. I'm glad that we got all that, but boy, it's just tough. I can't even really go back and watch it. I just fucking couldn't get out of that bunker, man.
It's so funny to be there with you because we're riding this high and we're trying to achieve this goal. And we have all these aspirations and we're like really on this team to get you under 100. And then something like that happens and the air gets sucked out of like what feels like the universe. Like everyone around is looking, you're like, oh no, it's over already. And you're just like, and you can't stop it. It's like it's like that ad read we did for not trying to cross the train tracks. Like when your car, you just can't get the car off the tracks, and that thing's coming, man. Like you don't want to fuck around with that. You want to stop. You want to settle down. You want to relax. You don't want to go on those tracks when that thing's coming. Like Trent just jumps on those things, and we can't get him off, man. And it's just like, fuck, we got to get him out of this bunker. And you feel so helpless. Like when I'm on that green watching him go from green to green, to bunker to bunker to bunker to bunker, and just shot after shot, you feel like you're going to puke. Like I felt like I was going to fucking throw up on that green because you're watching this guy just piss it away in one bunker on a 105-yard par 3 hole. Like that he actually hit the green on from the tee, and it scurried off into this ridiculously mowed down part of the green. Somehow, some way, it didn't check and went slightly into the bunker where you were just too close to the lip that started the fuck up.
I can't tell you how small that green looks when you're standing in that bunker. You're just like, I just gotta lift this ball out of the sand with this club, get it on there, and then we're putting, which obviously is a whole other thing. But just get it on there. But it looks like it's this big when you're standing in that bunker, and I could not get that ball to land on the green. And then you overcompensate, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna really go at it. And then you get too much of the ball, and it goes into the other bunker. It's just tough, Golf is really fucking hard.
When it went in the other bunker, I couldn't believe it.
It went in the other bunker, and then I'm standing in that bunker, and I get out of that bunker, and it goes in the other bunker, and then I chunk it in the original bunker. Like, just shoot me in the head.
And the putts didn't fall. To think the putts were going to fall is insane. I mean, once you were on the green, we weren't ready. Like, the hole wasn't done. Like, we still had more work to do. So, fuck, man, the bunker incident, that will go down in Foreplay Hall of Fame. You have such great highs and lows. I mean, we all do, I think, because when every shot is filmed, you're going to get moments. But like the putt in Australia to that is so funny. Like,
Yeah,
you've
and
had such great fucking athletic achievements on the golf course, and then you have that. It's just so brutal.
The way that it came about was a guy named Dan, I think it was, tweeted at me after he had watched the video, and he said, my girlfriend shrieked when you had the bunker incident. And I just thought the bunker incident was such a funny way to put it. And so I just tweeted that with the quote tweet, and then people just started sending in, like, just, the memes were funny, but it was just, I was dead. The bunker incident killed me that
Dude,
round.
it had so much like hype that I just tweeted out the bunker incident like hours later with no picture, no quote tweet or anything. So people had to know what I was talking about. It got like 1,000 likes. It was just like everyone was invested in the bunker incident.
Yeah.
So
That's what happens.
with the journey lives on. We move on to the next course.
We keep going.
Yep. Thursday night, right? Are we going to release that, I believe?
Yep, we got one coming out Thursday night.
All right. Well, does history happen, Trent? I don't know.
Tune in to find out.
Pine Hollow,
Yes, sir.
Long Island track. We do it again. And I got to tell you, you should watch it.
Agreed.
Thursday night, Trent's going to try to break 100 yet again. There'll be plenty of golf to witness over these next several days. We'll be talking about it. We'll be putting up some stuff on social, I'm sure, and then we'll obviously be in several weeks turning around our very own travel series from the great state of Michigan as well. If people have like restaurant recommendations around the Traverse City area, Gaylord area, those are kind of the two places we're going to be staying. Hit us. I even said if you got like some cool, God, I don't know that it's, I don't know if it's like canoe fucking ride or whitewater rafting or something, but we'd love like a zip line. I'd go zip lining, like something cool in Michigan that people
I have to
do.
take my shirt off, like that.
Yep.
Yes.
Water skiing. Let's do some water skiing.
I tried to wake surf in Georgia.
I don't know,
and that went
on the lake.
Oh yeah, water skiing. Water skiing is when you actually stand on the things.
Yes.
Oh yeah. That'd be tough.
That'd be pretty funny. Like, give the foreplay the boys a challenge that you think we'd struggle in to see what we do in like a non-optimal
Maybe
position.
a
I think would be pretty good.
Ski ball bar, something a little quirky.
Yeah, ski ball bar. Would be
Ooh,
good.
yeah, what
give
about
us, like,
axe
one of those-
throwing? Like an axe throwing bar?
What is
Yeah.
like the most stereotypical cool Michigan thing that we can do and send it our way?
Yep.
Go find a bear or something. I don't know.
How about that guy that took those clubs out of Rory's bag on the tee?
Trent had
Wild
such a
move.
great tweet.
Well, everyone was so, there was no awareness to anyone, and I really don't quite understand. When I first saw that video, I thought it was fake. I don't know how you would fake a video like that, but Rory and Rom and Rory's caddy have such zero reactions to it that I just couldn't believe that it was happening. Obviously, they start reacting when they're like, "Oh, that guy just took the clubs," but like in that first part where the guy is going through Rory's bag and Rory clearly sees him, what is Rory thinking?
Do you think Rory does see it? Because I don't think you can get a good sense of depth. Like, Patrick Reed's bunker incident when he had his own thing down under. Like, his argument was depth of the club behind the ball. Like, when you watch that video, I feel like they're a couple feet removed from the bag. Because I watched that a couple times, and I agree. Like, there was a point where, like, maybe the caddy did, like, a double take. But I do think that they weren't standing as close to the bag as it looks in the actual video.
That's interesting because the way it looks like the bag is directly in front of him. But that might not be the case.
I thought you could see the whole bag.
I agreed with you. I thought it was stunning that they weren't reacting to the point where it just looked like it took them 10 seconds to process that they were in reality and something was happening. And then, I know there were a lot of people, like everybody was joking about Harry Diamond, his caddy, not doing anything and he should be fired, which is the obvious joke. I made that joke. Everybody should. But then people were pointing out that clearly the guy's mentally ill or this, which may or may not have been the case. But regardless, you'd be stunned that people didn't react on the tee box to that. Those are Rory McIlroy's clubs. Steve Williams would have had that guy.
Yeah, but if you're the caddy, you're really gonna go unless you're Steve Williams. That guy's a psychopath. But you're gonna go punch the guy, grab it out of his hand. That guy looked like he had a fucking really as the caddy.
Dude, I think you run and you
everywhere. Where is the security?
Yeah, but I think as the caddy though, you would at least get over there and grab the club in defense and I don't know, stand in front of the bag or something. Like you wouldn't just stand there with your arms crossed like, oh, that's a shame. They took a couple of your clubs, Rory.
The only thing that I could think of was, like, I feel like guys like Rory, when you're at the top and you just, like, you're that famous, that, like, people just go through their bags. Like, when we go to those TaylorMade shoots, and that's very different, but, like, guys just go up to Rory's bag because they want to take pictures, like they're trying to get the angle of the clubs. That was the only thing I could think of. Like Rory thought that it was some member that he didn't know of, like the TaylorMade team, and they were trying to just see his clubs and do something with him. But outside of that, I'm with Riggs. He didn't know that he was in reality.
You know what's crazy is I originally saw the video where it was like the Instagram version where it's kind of zoomed in on just Rory and his bag, and then the guy walks off, and you like can't believe that much time is elapsing. You don't know what he's doing over there at first, like when you don't see the full wide shot, and you're like, what the hell's going on over there? Did he like? So I remember showing one of my buddies. I'm like, oh, this guy just stole Rory's club, and he probably got like tackled off the side or something. Like I think it was fine. And then you see the full video, and he like puts his bag down, like takes a couple practice swings, and then like this guy in like a suit walks over and is like, what you doing? Like. And then he just, like, complies and walks back and, like, gives them the club back. It was very, very bizarre. There was no urgency to get this guy on the ground at all.
It was weird. The whole thing was weird. Yeah, I thought he was going to be like a streaker, and they were going to spear him into the ground and everybody go crazy. And just nothing like that happened. It was super weird. The whole thing was weird. So, yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen again.
Also, the more we keep talking about how, like, the public just, like, is in line at tournaments, like, the last 2 to 3 weeks, there's just been streakers and guys grabbing clubs. Like, you know, the world is showing us that we are incorrect.
I still think they've done it respectfully, though. Like, these people are doing it when they're not hitting shots. Like, that streaker, like, imagine right in Bryson's backswing if they ran out and were like, wow!
Yeah,
and like,
true,
they're, like, waiting until it's in between shots. It's crazy.
We are getting blamed for this behavior.
Are we?
We are.
Yes, people are tweeting it as being like, ever since you guys said that it's amazing that people behave at golf courses, people have not been behaving at golf courses.
Oh, come on.
and
We've
they're
awoken
joking.
the beast.
They're joking, but it's like, it is interesting that after a couple weeks after we said those things, there's been 2 or 3 incidents where it's like, well, maybe golf fans aren't as well behaved as we thought.
Oh, man, that's good.
They're joking and they're not, because it's the same thing. Like, if we ever tweet about Kisner playing well and he makes a bogey, you're like, it's our fault for sure.
Right. Oh, I put out Christmas lights during the Islander game and they lost, and that was the reason. It's like, not because these guys just didn't get a fucking goal.
You're definitely over that. Yeah, you feel better about it?
Exactly. That sounded a little deep.
Yeah, it's time to end it when that happens.
I feel okay.
Hey,
hey, that's life, right? You know what I'm saying?
Man,
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's life. You know, yeah. Big positive thing there. Okay, it's a great week. Golf all over the place. Michigan, British Open, England, Sandwich, England. Enjoy it. We'll be, like I said, putting out our picks. We're going to be all over that Barstool Sportsbook app because we're going to be in Michigan where we can use it, which is very cool. So follow along. Have yourselves a lovely week. We'll be back on Thursday. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit hard.